Welcome! Today we're reacting to why nobody is moving to Japan's fourth largest island by geography by Jeff. I don't know if it's Jeff or Geoff. Let's begin, okay? Let's begin. We are talking about
If you look at a
Shikoku.
satellite map of Japan
Yep.
at night, you see a blazing corridor of light. From
Yeah.
Tokyo in the east to the industrial powerhouses of Hiroshima and Fukuoka in the west, the country
Yeah.
looks like one continuous megacity. But right there, sitting just off the coast of Osaka, is a black hole. This is Shikoku, Japan's fourth largest.
Heard about it. Heard about olives from there. Seen a video about that. You know what the video is, because it's abroad in Japan, you know?
Island, and by all traditional logic, this place should be booming, but instead, it's emptying out. So why is Japan's fourth largest island so empty? Well, to help us figure that out, let's take a look at the land that makes up Shikoku.
Okay. I wonder if it's
Let's start
like
with where
very
Shikoku
mountain.
actually is, because when you look at a map of Japan, your eyes are almost immediately drawn to the massive curving arc of Honshu, the largest island. It's where Tokyo, Osaka, and Kyoto are all located.
Big
and
island.
It's the cultural and economic spine of the country. Then, perhaps, you'll likely look north to the winter wonderland of Hokkaido, or perhaps south to the subtropical Kyushu. But sitting quietly beneath Honshu, locked away by the calm waters of the Seto Inland Sea, lies Japan's
I like how it looks like it was glitching
fourth
out.
largest island,
Okay.
Shikoku, a place you very well may have never looked at all.
I've seen it on GeoGuessr, and I've seen it on YouTube, and I've seen. Have I seen? I don't know if that's true or not, but I remember that when CDogVA does his like cycling thing, he did go through this
In
island.
terms of pure proximity, Shikoku should be bustling. Its northern coastline is tantalizingly close to the heavy industrial centers of Hiroshima and Okayama. It's also about 100 kilometers away from Osaka, the country's second largest metro region.
You get a bridge, kind
You
of.
can practically see it from the main island. Yet, despite this closeness, Shikoku remains a geographic anomaly, a place that is simultaneously right in the middle of Japan and yet also completely removed from it. Because in Japan, geography is destiny, and Shikoku was dealt a very difficult hand. Geographically, Shikoku is roughly 18,800 square kilometers. That makes it smaller than Sardinia or Vermont. But don't let the size fool you. This is some of the most rugged, unforgiving, and sharply divided terrain in the entire Japanese.
Yeah, so basically they don't have flat lands, so they have hard time building anything up.
Archipelago. The most defining feature of Shikoku isn't what it has, but what it doesn't have. Unlike the rest of Japan, which is famous for its volatile geology, Shikoku is the only major island in the archipelago with no active volcanoes.
Oh, that is actually insane, because when you don't have like an active volcano in any part of Japan, that basically means you don't have your soil is basically your soil sucks. Yeah, it's not as fertile as it could be, so it's not the best. So it's hard to grow like crop and stuff, you know.
While the rest of the country was being shaped by explosive eruptions that created fertile volcanic soils and broad plateaus, Shikoku was being shaped by something else entirely: a violent tectonic compression. The island is literally sliced in half by a massive fault system known as the median tectonic line.
Isn't this like the place where, like, when you know, like when two tectonic plates basically like crash, it creates a mountain, basically, right? Isn't that? Last time I had geography was like a decade ago.
This is the longest fault zone in Japan, and it runs straight through the northern part of Shikoku, effectively creating two distinct geographic worlds on a single small island. To the north of this fault line lies the inner zone. This region faces the Seto Inland Sea and is geologically related to the Chugoku region of Honshu. Here, you find the few gentle slopes and alluvial plains the island has to offer, particularly the Sanuki Plain in Kagawa Prefecture.
This is where you have the olives.
This northern strip is the front door of Shikoku. It's sheltered from the open ocean, receiving very little rain and enjoying a mild, almost Mediterranean climate.
Yeah, that's why they can grow olives.
But there is a catch. Because the mountains behind it are so steep and the rivers so short, water retention is almost non-existent.
Ooh, that means they have droughts, doesn't it?
For centuries, the people of northern Shikoku
knew it. I knew it.
Against cold or snow, but against drought. If you zoom in,
Japan is crazy, right? Because like in the northern part, you're freezing to death. in the central part, you have big shaky earthquake, right? And a big tsunami sometimes, right? And then in the southern part, also you have like big moisture over there in like central part. And then in the southern part, you have like big moisture, right? And tsunami, and sometimes tsunami, and bit of earthquake. And then in like Okinawa, you have big typhoon, and over here have drought and tsunami probably and earthquake.
On a satellite map of this region today, you will see thousands of tiny distinct dots scattering the landscape. Those aren't natural ponds, they're man-made reservoirs dug by hand.
I mean, you can see they are man-made because like they have like weird shapes. Like you have square ones over here, you have like very unnatural shapes, like you have like very straight lines, you know,
for 1,000 years, just to keep the civilization alive in a land that the rain forgot. But if the north is dry and gentle, the south is a different planet. If you cross the central mountain range, you'll enter the outer zone. This is the Pacific side, and it's dominated by the Shikoku Mountains.
I think they have like a bit of a mountain problem over there, you know, because I can see like bunch of mountains. Hell of a lot of mountains.
They're jagged, piercing peaks culminating in Mount Ishizuki, the highest mountain in western Japan. This mountain acts as a massive atmospheric barrier. When the warm, moisture-laden winds blow up from the Pacific Ocean, they slam into this wall, dumping torrential rains on the southern coast. So, while the north prays for rain, the south is drowning in it. The southern prefecture of Kochi is one of the wettest places in Japan, frequently battered by typhoons that roar up Typhoon Alley.
Yeah,
this geography here is incredibly hostile to human settlement. The mountains crash directly into the sea, leaving almost no flat coastal plains for cities to grow.
Living in that part of Japan must suck.
If you look at a topographical map, you'll see that the southern coast almost looks like a saw blade, a series of drowned river valleys with steep cliffs and deep inlets. It's beautiful, but it's impossible to build a metropolis.
That looks like a very like if I had to pick a map that I had to build like, you know, city builder, right? Then I would not pick this. Like I would be like I would be like, I guess I would have a bunch of resources maybe, but I would only be able to like build in the northern part of the map and like maybe like this little bit over here, and then you plop in and check out like the fertility of like the soil, and you realize, oh, we don't have that. Rip. Yeah. So basically, this is like a perfect map if you want to terraform everything. But if you don't want to do that, then yeah, hard time.
On. This north-south divide creates a fascinating, almost tragic geographic trap. The people in the north have the flat land, but historically lacked the water. The people in the south have all the water, but basically no land. And trapped between...
And then they shake hands and be like, you make a crop. I give water. You get water. I get food. Yeah.
them is the Tibet of Japan. The interior of Shikoku is so mountainous, so steep, and so deep that for most of Japanese history, it was effectively a blank spot on the map. The valleys here are narrow, carved by rushing emerald rivers like the Yoshino and the...
I don't remember what sort of clan was here in like the Japanese history, actually. Man. I actually don't remember, like, I was never interested in this part of Japan, honestly. Like, it's literally the forgotten part of Japan, kind of.
The latter often called Japan's last clear stream because no major dams have been built on it. Why? Ooh. Because there isn't enough civilization along its banks to justify one. This rugged interior has done more than...
Pardon, go back. This image here looks so pretty. I would be like, we are in the middle of nowhere, you have river, and you see this torii gate over here, right? And you'd be like... I'm gonna go isekai. I'm gonna walk through and I'm gonna wake up in another world, maybe.
Civilization along its banks to justify one. This rugged interior has done more than just separate the north from the south. It's fractured the island into 4 distinct countries. In fact, the name Shikoku literally translates to 4 provinces.
Wow.
Historically, the geography was so impassable that it was easier for someone in the north to sail the sea to Honshu than to hike over the mountains to their neighbors in the south.
Wow.
So, We have an island that is geologically split in two,
So
lacking the volcanic soil of its neighbors, battered by typhoons in the
yeah,
south, parched by
that sounds so bad.
drought in the north, and guarded by a fortress of mountains in the center. It's a breathtakingly beautiful piece of geography, but it's not a geography designed for a modern population boom. But to understand why Shikoku remains empty today, we have to look at how this island shaped the people who tried to tame it originally. The geography of Shikoku isolated people so effectively that neighbors just miles apart couldn't really communicate or understand each other. And honestly, traveling without knowing the local language
Advertisement segment.
can feel just as isolating. That's why, for my travels in 2026, I'm using this video sponsor, Babbel. February is the month of connection. Babbel allows you to connect deeper by speaking from the heart in another language.
Don't worry about it,
Babbel,
okay?
local language turns every trip into a much more meaningful experience. Instead of just being a tourist looking at the scenery,
I love that YouTube allows me to do this.
real language experts.
I love YouTube. The only good thing that YouTube added like since last 2 years.
It's the best way to ensure you're isolated on your next adventure. Plus, they offer a 20-day money-back guarantee, so you can try it risk-free. So, click the link in the description to start speaking a new language in 3 weeks with Babbel and get 55% off your subscription. Also, leave me a comment down below telling me what language you want to learn this year. Babbel opens up a whole new world of connection. But for centuries, the Japanese government wasn't interested in connection. They were interested in containment.
Thank
They used
you.
the isolation of Shikoku for a much darker purpose.
What? Ooh.
For thousands of years, Shikoku wasn't a single entity according to the Japanese court in Kyoto or the shoguns in Edo. It was viewed as Shikoku, literally the 4 provinces. Historically, these provinces were Awa, Tosa, Sanuki, and Iyo. Because the central mountains were so impassable, these 4 regions developed almost entirely independent from one another. A person from the humid, rebellious coast of Tosa, modern-day Kochi, had more in common with the ocean than they did with a merchant from Sanuki, modern-day Kagawa, just a few dozen kilometers to the north. They spoke different dialects, ate different foods, and served different feudal masters. But to the central powers on the main island of Honshu, Shikoku served one primary, somewhat dark purpose. It was a prison. Because Shikoku was separated from the capital by the inland sea, it was considered the perfect holding cell for high...
Yeah, you could literally like plop a prison in the mountains and be like, I make profit. Smart.
Profile political enemies. It was close enough to monitor, but far enough away that a rebellious noble who escaped couldn't easily march an army.
Yeah, you plop it down in the mountains, and if they escape, they probably would die from nature. That is actually so smart.
Back to Kyoto. The most famous, tragic figure of this era was Emperor Sutoku. In the 12th century, after losing a power struggle for the throne, he was banished to the northern plains of Shikoku. Legends say that he spent his final years writing sutras in his own blood, cursing the court that rejected him, before dying in misery. For centuries, this was Shikoku's reputation, a beautiful cage for the unwanted. However, the island's spiritual history offered a counter-narrative to its political one. While the emperors in Kyoto saw a prison, a monk named Kukai saw a sanctuary. Kukai, known posthumously as Kobo Daishi, is perhaps the most important religious figure in Japanese history. Born in Shikoku in the 8th century, he established Shingon Buddhism, but his legacy on the island is physical. He established
the shrines.
the Shikoku Pilgrimage, a grueling 1,200-kilometer loop connecting 88 temples around the island's perimeter.
That's insane.
This pilgrimage is crucial to understanding the island's development. For 1,000 years, the only real infrastructure connecting the 4 disjointed provinces wasn't a trade road or a highway. It was a dirt path for pilgrims. While the rest of Japan was building the Great Tokaido Road to connect economies, Shikoku was maintaining a road for pilgrims.
Japan was making money. Shikoku was doing religion.
It created a culture of hospitality known as setai, where locals give food and lodging to weary walkers. But
that is actually like such a based thing that you have this like island in the middle of Japan that there's such a geographically like so bad in geographical terms, but then you have the people that are like, yeah, religion. You gonna go to shrine? Sure, mate. Come here, have a pint.
did little to spur the kind of urban density seen in Osaka or Edo, today Tokyo.
Yeah.
As Japan moved into the feudal era, the isolation of Shikoku began to breed a unique kind of toughness. particularly in the south. The Tosa domain, isolated by those jagged mountains and facing the open Pacific, developed a fierce, independent streak. They were so removed from the center of power that they developed a distinct class system and a simmering resentment toward the shogunate ruling from Edo. This brings us to the great irony of Shikoku's history. In the mid-19th century, when the black ships of the United States arrived and forced Japan to open its borders, it wasn't the polished elites of Tokyo who led the revolution. It was the country bumpkins from the forgotten domains, including Tosa. The samurai of southern Shikoku, most notably the legendary Sakamoto Ryoma, were instrumental in overthrowing the shogun and restoring the emperor to power. Shikoku, the island of exiles, effectively helped birth modern Japan. Now, you would think that playing such a pivotal role in the Meiji Restoration of 1868 would earn Shikoku a place at the high table of the new Japanese empire. But the exact opposite happened. When the new Meiji government took over, they focused on rapid industrialization. They needed flat land for factories, deep water ports for massive steel ships, and straight lines for railroads. Shikoku had none of these. As the late 19th and early 20th century roared on, the Industrial Revolution exploded across Honshu. The corridor from Tokyo to Hiroshima became a belt of steel and steam. Meanwhile, Shikoku remained agrarian. The mountains that protected them now blocked the trains. The 4 provinces were consolidated into 4 modern prefectures. But
that sounds just like, oh yeah, by the way, you did very well with the political stuff. By the way, yeah, we are not going to invest in you because you're mountains. We don't want that. We need flat land because money.
The economy remained stuck in the past. By the time World War II ended and Japan began its miraculous economic recovery, Shikoku was already well behind. The Japanese government, obsessed with efficiency, poured concrete and money into the Pacific belt on Honshu. Shikoku, meanwhile, was viewed merely as a resource outpost, a place to get citrus fruit, timber, and paper, but not a place to build the future. This
No. Man, we got fruit, wood, and paper. And we're gonna be priests. That's what we're gonna do. I'm pretty confident that this part of Japan is probably the most religious part of Japan, along with being the part of Japan that just like moves to everywhere else the most, basically. Like, you're from Ehime? No. You are moving to Okayama. You're from Kochi. Is Kochi part of that part of Japan? I don't know. You're moving to Osaka. Whatever.
Neglect created a ticking time bomb. The young people of Shikoku, seeing the glittering skylines of Osaka and Tokyo rising from the ashes of war, began to look across the water and wonder, why am I still here? If you look at a population density map of Japan today, Honshu...
Yeah, you have this big boat going from Tokyo to, like, places, Okayama or something.
Blazing with light. Kyushu is a glowing hub of industry. Even Hokkaido has the dense urban core of Sapporo.
Yeah. In Hokkaido, you only have Sapporo and Hakodate, basically. Otoru is... Otoru, I believe? Yeah, Otoru is, like, kind of big, but it's nowhere as big. And then you have like places like Wakanai, Abarashi, and so on and so forth, which are like pretty much middle of nowhere.
But Shikoku is pretty dark and dimming more every day. Today, the entire island is home to roughly 3.6 million people, a little less than 3% of the entire country's population. To put that in perspective, the greater Tokyo area adds that many people to its train stations every single morning. But what's more concerning for Shikoku is the trend line. While Japan's overall population began to decline in 2011, Shikoku has been bleeding residents for decades. The island's population peaked way back in 1950 and has been on a slow, agonizing slide ever since. So, why is this happening? Why, in a country as crowded as Japan, is its 4th largest island hollowing out? The answer lies in a cruel economic paradox involving the very thing that was supposed to save it, a bridge to Honshu. For most of the 20th century, the people of Shikoku clamored for a fixed...
See, you don't get to live here and then like work over there. You're moving over there because there's more stuff to do.
Link to the mainland. They believed that their economic isolation was the only thing holding them back. If they could just drive to Osaka, prosperity would flow in. In 1988, they got their wish. The Seto Ohashi Bridge opened, an engineering marvel of double-deck bridges spanning 13 kilometers across the inland sea. It was the bridge to the 21st century, but instead of bringing prosperity in, the bridge sucked the life out. Economists called this the straw effect. Imagine putting a straw into a glass and drinking. The liquid flows one way. By connecting a small, weaker economy, Shikoku, to a massive, dominant economy, Osaka and Honshu.
Let me do a twist for this, like bigger. Let's make it bigger. Okay, so you have European Union. There's Osaka. You have Poland, Czech Republic, Hungary. Them countries, right? When they join the EU, workers that cannot get like any decent jobs and want to do shitty work, basically, like the uneducated labor that actually like wants to earn some decent money is going to go to Osaka, basically. And I'm not saying people in Shikoku are uneducated, but I believe that, yeah, they probably, like, the labor wants to move to somewhere where there's potential prosperity, basically. You get the idea? You know? Like, physical workers basically want decent life.
The bridge didn't encourage companies to build factories in Shikoku. Instead, it allowed companies in Osaka to ship goods to Shikoku more easily, putting local Shikoku manufacturers out of business. It allowed the youth of Shikoku to easily leave for the weekend to shop in the big cities, and eventually to just move there permanently. The moat that had kept Shikoku isolated had also protected its local economy, and unfortunately, the bridge destroyed the moat. But this failure of infrastructure to ignite growth is compounded by what
So they no longer produce paper, I guess. That is such a cruel joke.
Didn't get built at the same time. Japan is world famous for the Shinkansen, the high-speed rail network that
I've seen many videos of them.
As the arteries of the country.
I like watching trains.
The network extends all the way south to Kyushu and all the way north to Hokkaido, where it will soon connect to Sapporo. But if you look at the Shinkansen map, there's a glaring hole. Shikoku is the only major island in Japan without a high-speed.
What? So you would have to make a train that goes from Kyoto to Kumamoto. Straight line. And it would probably go through, like... See, there's no point going through this part, the part near Okayama, because they have, like, a thing probably over there. So they would have to literally go through mountains. That is a hard thing to do.
Train. In 1973, under the basic plan for the Shinkansen, the line was...
Oh yeah, there we go. Takamatsu, there we go. That's what the place. Tokushima, yeah. They would go from Kyoto to Tokushima, then to Takamatsu, then you'll have a split line going to Kochi and Matsuyama? I guess Matsuyama is big, maybe. And then it goes to Oita. And the issue with going to Kochi would probably be the big mountains, because they would have to drill a lot of tunnels. So that is a big money problem. Same goes with going from Tokushima to Takamatsu, I believe. They would have to drill through mountains. So the only line that actually like makes any sort of sense is going from Takamatsu to Matsuyama and then to Oita. Yeah. That's why they probably dropped it, because it would be like a big financial expense. And then you also have like the connection with Okayama, which is pretty easy to do, I think.
Was proposed to cross into Shikoku, but when the Japanese asset bubble burst in the 1990s,
the reality of they lost a lot of money.
The bridge's failure set in, the plan was frozen. Today, traveling by train from Tokyo to the Shikoku capital of Matsuyama takes nearly 6 hours and requires multiple transfers.
That is actually not bad. I traveled to certain parts of Poland for like 3 hours, and by car it takes 1 hour.
Modern Japanese economy,
so you know,
where time is currency, Shikoku is simply too far away to matter. The result is a demographic collapse that is frightening even by Japanese standards. Shikoku is currently the oldest island in the oldest country in the world. In rural areas of Kochi and Tokushima prefectures, over 40% of the population is over the age of 65. We are
old.
Seeing the phenomenon of marginal villages, or communities that have reached a limit where they can no longer maintain basic functions like road repair or snow clearing because everyone is too old. The Japanese government is terrified of this. They know that Shikoku is a preview of what the rest of the country will look like in 20 years. And so, in a desperate attempt to reverse the tide, they have launched an aggressive revitalization campaign. They created the Local Vitalization Cooperator Program, paying city dwellers to move to rural Shikoku to start farms or businesses. And there have been localized success stories, like the town of Kamiyama in Tokushima. By installing high-speed fiber optic internet throughout the rural mountains, Kamiyama attracted satellite offices for Tokyo tech companies. It's a beautiful image. Young programmers coding on laptops in renovated traditional farmhouses, surrounded by rice paddies. But statistically, these are drops in the bucket. For every one tech worker who moves in...
Okay. This situation here can only be fixed by migrants from outside of Japan. If you actually want to fix it, you would have to take in people from outside of Japan. So yeah, because like trying to move people from inside of the country is very hard. You would have to like actually digital nomad visas. I mean, quote unquote workers visas. Like, if you drop the whole digital nomad visa and give them the regular worker visa, if like if like those digital nomads, if they go to like Shikoku and live there, like, don't allow them to like I mean, allow them to explore, but they have to like be stationed in Shikoku. And that's that, basically. Like, that's gonna attract some people, I think, maybe. Especially with the stricter laws that are coming into Japan, with migration and stuff recently. That might work, probably. It's hard to, like, say what's gonna do it. Because, like, you have this piece of land is very much like lumber, probably some mining, a little bit of agriculture. Work that nobody wants to do, basically. Like I'm saying, nobody's going to do the work here. So you either like create infrastructure for foreigners to come in here and then they do stuff and live there. You can try moving people around all you want, give them incentives all you want, but that's not going to work, especially in the long term. So yeah. Raise the retirement age or whatever. Like, no, don't do that. But they're like, yeah, it's very. It's a lost cause, basically.
10 high school graduates still move out. The data from the 2020 census showed that despite all the government subsidies, cheap housing schemes, and workcation promotions, every single prefecture in Shikoku saw its population shrink. Basically, the island is caught in a negative feedback loop. Fewer people means fewer trains. Fewer trains means it's harder to do business. Harder to do business means fewer jobs. Fewer jobs means fewer young people can afford to stay. And so, the tragedy of Shikoku isn't that it failed to modernize. It's that it tried to modernize, and the modern world simply decided it wasn't enough. No place in Japan fascinates me as much as Shikoku. It's the canary in the coal mine for Japan's demographic future. But that also means it can serve as a place where Japan finally figures out how to reverse that same future.
This is the guinea pig. Them four prefectures are basically Japan's guinea pigs on how to fix the population issue.
But only time will tell if they can actually do it. Speaking of places that should have more people, this week I'm in Astoria, Oregon, the major West Coast city that never materialized despite seeming to have...
Very nice, America, whatever. Very educational video, honestly. I did not feel like 16 minutes. I can tell you that. It felt like I watched a half of a documentary, basically. But yeah, a very high quality as well. I'm gonna leave a like. Not sure if I'm gonna subscribe because I don't know whatever like videos this guy makes. Like he could be making a bunch of like good videos, but like I have no idea. I'm gonna check him out later. I just had him in like my feed. But yeah, what do we have? We have Japanese people talking here. Oh, Japanese person living in Shikoku, a real one. Shikoku was left behind by industrialization, yep, and as a result, it was retained its rich natural environment, yep. Is blessed with rugged mountains and blessed. I'm not sure if it's blessed, but like, okay. Rivers with excellent water, yeah, that is a blessing. And beautiful oceans. It's very clean. Excellent environment for tourism, like kayaking, sup, cycling, motorcycle riding, trekking, surfing, marine diving. There's also a small ski resort. It's a great place to live for outdoor sports enthusiasts. So they could basically create infrastructure based on tourism in many of like the tiny towns, maybe. But then that would mean like that you have to increase the economy of like the tourist economy. That means you would have to like raise the, you know, give people more money for leisure, more time for leisure, or maybe like have easier access to like foreign tourists. But because of the thing with China, Japan doesn't get much of the foreign tourists right now because so many of the foreign tourists in Japan were, well, Chinese for quite some time, and going to Japan from anywhere basically currently is very, very hard. I can tell you that, because you're not going from Europe to Japan right now because of the Dubai situation and Qatar situation. Well, I mean, not Qatar situation, Kuwait situation, maybe? I don't know. A lot of the countries over in the Middle East are having trouble right now, you know? And because, like, when you travel to Japan, you have to go through Middle East, basically, because of the airlines and stuff. Or you either do that or you go through China, but that's another issue. But yeah. So it's going to be very hard to get to Japan because of that, and I mean, setting up tourist infrastructure it would take probably like in another decade for them. So, you know, whatever. Nicest part of Japan, simply lack of tourism. I mean, lack of tourism maybe is good. What else? Fun fact. It doesn't have Japanese. Okay. I like how they're dunking on the advertisement. But yes, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment down below. If you enjoyed the video I watched, the link is in the description. The description, that's what I've been looking for, in the description, yes. And thank you for watching. See you another time. Goodbye.